Have you ever watched a TEDx talk? Well, maybe you've thought, I wonder what it's like to go to one of those. Well, that's what this video is for. It's my top 10 takeaways from TEDxMidAtlantic last weekend, and we're starting right now. Hey, 1% Nation, I'm Jake Voorhees, and you are watching the 1% Engineer Show, where we empower young engineers to rise to the top 1% of their career. And if this is your first time here, guys, make sure you subscribe because I release videos 2 times a week for engineering success. And if you want the 1% Engineer Kit, which is a bunch of ebooks, follow the link in the description, and I'll send you that. Comment below if you have a favorite TEDx talk because I want to check that out, and so does 1% Nation. Most of you know who are already in the Facebook group, already in the community. I'm heavily involved with TEDx. I'm the filmmaker for TEDx Wilmington, and last weekend, myself and 3 other tribe members, organizers in my group, went to TEDxMidAtlantic, which is in Washington, D.C. It's one of the premier TEDx events in the country and around the world. And they had some awesome speakers, and I learned a whole bunch of stuff and met some other organizers and met some cool people that I can stay in touch with forever. And I've talked about this before, guys. I think all of you can volunteer at the TEDx in your city. It exposes you to such awesome thought leaders and speakers and cool people. It's such a good networking event. They definitely need volunteers. It's a big nonprofit. And if you can't volunteer, if you can't go to the conferences, then you should definitely be watching as many TEDx talks as possible because, again, this is world game-changing stuff that goes down on the TEDx stage, guys, so absorb as much as possible. The reason why this is important for you young engineers is because the things that I take away from a TEDx event is valuable to people of all levels, including engineers who are on their journey to rise to the top 1% and be successful. So let's not waste any more time, guys, and jump right into it with takeaway number 1. How are you changing the world? I know it might sound cliche, but honestly, guys, all of us can do our part to change the world today. This is such a broad topic on the TEDx stage and at all the conferences that I've attended lately in the last year or two. But essentially it works like this. What is your purpose in life? What is your mission? What is your organization trying to do? What is your cause? What do you believe in? Why does your group exist? What issues are you trying to solve? How are you trying to leave a positive impression in this world such that you leave it better than before you started? And I'll give a quote from a TEDx talk, one of my favorites from Guy Kawasaki. He developed the Macintosh with Steve Jobs. He says, your group, your mission, your personal purpose in life should be about making meaning, not about making money. If you set out to make meaning, you will probably change the world. And then you will find that you probably also make money. But if you set out with the sole desire to make money, you probably won't make meaning, you won't make any money, you won't change the world, and you will probably fail. So make meaning, guys. Strive to change the world. Do your part. Make a difference. Think big and you will be successful. Tip number 2 is tell a story. Tell a story. Tell your story. The best presentations in this world are about a story. So this applies to you and your projects and your homework and when you do presentations or when you're talking to anyone at all. Try to incorporate a story, a through line of all the points that you're trying to tell. Make sure you tell a story because people can envision what you're telling them. They can follow along in their imagination and it makes them connect to you so much better. Tell your story. Tip number 3, do not ever be afraid of the most important people in the room. There was a moment during one of the receptions when I was chatting with somebody and I said, ooh, that's Dave Troy, one of the curators, one of the founders of TEDxMidAtlantic. And he said, why do you want to go talk to him? And I'm like, well, it's Dave Troy, it's the founder. I'm going to walk right up to him and say, what's up? And me and another group member did, and it was awesome. We introduced ourselves. We told him we admire him. But the point of the matter is that if you're afraid to walk up to high-level people, you're going to be more afraid to that next high-level person that you meet. So if you get yourself in the habit of just walking right up to people and introducing yourself, especially if they're important, I know it can be nerve-wracking, but you get into the groove of doing it and you learn. It makes you feel so much better. So never be afraid to go right up to people who are important and introduce yourself. They want to meet you too, especially if you have something positive to say about them and what they're doing, and they actually want to chat with you. Takeaway number 4, do not talk about yourself. And this applies to takeaway number 3. If you're ever chatting with somebody, whether it's a job fair or a networking event or a TEDx conference or whatever, you want to let that person talk about themselves. You want to pull the story out of them. You want to be interested. You don't really want to talk about yourself. Nobody really wants to listen to somebody else talk about their accolades, whether it is a presentation or just a meet and greet or some sort of club engineering meetup or again, a job fair or whatever, but you want to ask that person questions. You want them to talk about themselves and their story. That's how people will remember you. People don't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. So in this instance, if you do this, they're going to walk away from that conversation just feeling so good that you were listening to them and you connected well because they were able to chat about themselves a little bit. So don't talk about yourself, let them talk about themselves. Takeaway number 5, if you are not supporting historically underrepresented demographics in this world, in engineering, in STEM, then what are you doing anyway? So many talks are about empowering some sort of demo, like women or minorities. And again, this is world-changing initiatives. So if you're not being progressive and trying to be a part of this movement, the diversity, the progressivism in this world today, then what are you doing, guys? Honestly, that's how people will believe in your mission, who will support you. If you have some good cause that is empowering people in urban communities or international people, giving them opportunities in the world, whatever it may be, if you're not supporting people who are historically underrepresented, then what are you doing anyways? Support these people, guys. Takeaway number 6 is to niche down, niche again, niche till it hurts. And what I mean by this is that if you have some good idea, or if you have some project concept or something that you're working on, whatever it is, you can probably boil it down to get more and more specific to separate yourself from all the other projects in this world, all the other engineers, whatever's on your resume. You can probably add more specific things that make you unique, make you different. That's exactly what you need to do to stand out today, guys. And one of the examples at this TEDx conference was the speaker. She did a presentation on her company called Lesbians in Tech. There are so many empowerment groups for women in tech, but lesbians in tech? I've never heard of this before. And she was on the TEDx stage talking about this, and she has niched down all the way down until she is in her blue ocean. There's no blood in the water. She's not swimming with any other sharks. She's in her own world. She niched down. Niche till it hurts, guys. Be different, stand out. Takeaway number 7 is to share your work. How else do you expect to be found in this world if you are not putting out content, if you are not telling your story, if you are not talking about the projects that you work on and writing a blog or posting on LinkedIn or putting your projects on Instagram or doing something? How else can people know about the good work that you have? And I got into a conversation at breakfast with one of my group members about this, and they were like, well, there's lots of people who do big things and change the world, and they don't ever post about it, they don't ever talk about it. And I'm like, well, that's a big mistake, because they could probably inspire other people to make even greater change. They could probably find other people to collaborate with and come together to make even bigger change beyond that. So you have to share your work. You have to tell your story. One of the speakers, Lynn Slater, she had a blog post picked up a couple years ago, and now she's this viral fashion icon because of that, just because she put out content, she shared her work. So you have to share your work, guys, in order to be found. Take your engineering projects, put them on your Instagram, start that engineering blog, start some sort of way of documenting your process of rising to the top 1% of your career. 8 is listen to people. You will connect with them so much better. Just like not talking about yourself, this tip kind of goes hand in hand with that. But I found myself actually chatting with Lynn Slater's photographer at one point. I walked right up to him. I was like, hey, bro, I'm a camera person and I have no idea what that camera is. And he just kind of went off for like 15 minutes, and we actually had a really good connection because I just let him talk and I listened acutely, and he could tell that I was into everything he was saying. But listen, guys, so many people in this world are too quick to say what they want to say and interrupt that person that they're networking with or chatting with. Listen. You're going to actually build better relationships. You're going to work on your concentration. That person's going to like you more. So listen. Takeaway number 9 is to be friendly with everyone, smile, chat with everyone that you meet at a networking event or club sessions or whatever. This applies to anything you guys might be doing, because you never know who that person is and the connections they may have with other things and what that conversation is going to lead to down the road. An example for this conference is I was chatting with this guy named Sean Meadows, who is the past TEDx curator of TEDx Penn State. And we started chatting and then found out this Penn State thing. And he was like, well, actually, I volunteer here. And he says, do you guys want a backstage tour tomorrow? And we was like, oh yeah, for sure, definitely. And so we got each other's numbers, and then, came through, gave us that backstage tour, which was awesome, because we're taking notes for our TEDx Wilmington curator. He gave us t-shirts, and we got to see Dave Troy and Nate again, the other curator. There's 2 of them. But you never know who this person is that you're chatting with and the types of connections that they have, or maybe how you guys can come together, maybe how you can help them. It's not always about you guys, but always smile, always be friendly, always chat with people, because you just never know. And takeaway number 10 is to have an open mind. You should go to conferences, you should chat with new people, especially people who you know are thought leaders or interesting and have something good to say. You should want to break your old assumptions and have your views evolved and fractured a little bit so that they can grow. Because if you're not trying to prove yourself wrong, if you're not trying to find new data so you can recalculate whatever you believe in this world, then you're definitely not trying to stay at the top of your game. It's silly people who don't want to be proven wrong, and it's actually smart people who want to be proven wrong. They always want to be better. So always have an open mind. Always be willing to absorb new ideas that you may not have believed before, and you will be so much better, so much more successful, guys, with an open mind. So do that. I hope these top 10 takeaways from TEDx Mid-Atlantic helped you guys. If it did, consider subscribing because I release videos 2 times a week for engineering success. I did another video about my takeaways from a conference in March. Check that out on the card above. And thanks for watching the 1% Engineer Show, guys, and stay hungry on your quest to become a 1% engineer. Cheers!